Hey there, this video is going to be for knitters or anybody who's interested in knitting needles. Over the past couple of years, I have been converted to Chiaogoo Needles. And I'm going to open this box and we're going to talk about what's in here too. Hi there, welcome. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia and this is Taking Back Friday. This is a place where we come every Friday and we are talking about knitting and spinning and weaving and dyeing. We talk about making time to make things. Now, this March is supposed to be the time when we go to H&H Cologne. It's a trade show that happens every year in Germany. This would be the 5th year that we would be going. And at the very, very last minute, probably about a week or so ago, we got news that they've decided to postpone it, well, cancel it, or cancel this year's trade show. And they're just gonna sort of work on next year's trade show. Just because of all the travel advisories and all the things that are happening right now in the world, they thought it would be better safe than sorry to cancel the trade show. Now, this is all perfectly understandable, but at the same time, one of the great joys of going to this particular trade show over the past couple of years has been the opportunity that I have personally had to meet the owners of Chiaogoo Needles, Wendy and Leon, and sort of like just chat with them and see them in person and sort of connect with them more over the past couple of years. And it has been really, really wonderful to meet the people who have designed these amazing needles that I've come to really, really love. Now, even before meeting them, I remember the exact moment when I was when my interest was piqued and I decided to go down this path of seeking out and trying some of the Chiaogoo needles. It was at a retreat that I taught at Whistler for the Knit Social girls, and it was one of the Knit Social retreats. Clara Parks was teaching there and Stephanie Pearl McPhee. They were all teaching there, and I taught a class called Color Play, and it was basically an exploration of different colors and how to mix and match colors and how to make color combinations and things like that. And in the class, I had brought a whole bunch of needles for people to work with. And in that class, one of the students had said, "Have you ever tried Chiaogoo needles?" And I was saying, oh, I was not very interested in interchangeable needles because I was frustrated by how the interchangeables that I've tried in the past, how they've unscrewed themselves, how, you know, the tip detaches from the cable and then all of my stitches have fallen off the project, and it's very frustrating. So I kind of preferred fixed circular needles for all of my projects. And she's like, oh, no, you should try and give these Chiaogoo needles a try. And so I did. I went and I got myself one of these sets, the interchangeable sets. It's a full set. Ta-da, you can see there's a whole bunch of missing needles because I think that they're in projects right now. So I tried these and I loved them, and it allowed for me to completely redo my needle stash and get rid of tons and tons of duplicate needles, get rid of tons of really, really kinky cables, just old needles that I donated, and hopefully someone else can use those needles. They were good needles. There's just too many of them. So now this replaces everything. But that has kind of like a limitation in terms of size, right? So then I found some of the other needles that they were producing. So they have other needle sets that are like the mini ones. These are the really, really skinny sock needles. These are 00s, there's 000s. These are like 1.5 millimeter needles. These are really, really tiny. I don't know if I would ever knit anything that tiny, but I use the 2.25 millimeter needles for knitting socks, and so that's what I'm using right now. So they have interchangeables in sock sizes. And then just recently, this past year, I got tipped off onto these ones. So these are the Chiaogoo, the blue set. These are the shorty set. So you can see the needle tips are really tiny. They're very, very short. Those are the semi-short ones, and these are the super short ones. They just look like tiny, tiny little pieces of metal. And this allows you to knit sort of hats in the round, knit small circumferences in the round, like knit sleeves in the round, all of that kind of stuff. So it's with that same kind of metal. It's stainless steel. So they're just very smooth. They're very easy to work with. And so these are sort of like my collection of needles that I've been working with so far. Now this year, you may or may not know that Chiaogoo is also celebrating their 15-year anniversary. We're celebrating 15 years, they are also celebrating 15 years. It's crazy to think that we both started our businesses in the same year and all the things that have happened in 15 years. But in any case, I wanted to sort of venture down the path and see what else they made that I have not yet tried. And so this is what is in the box here. Okay, so Chiaogoo needles. These needles started off as bamboo needles. This is what they were originally making at the very beginning. They made knitting needles out of bamboo. And then they ventured off into like stainless steel and all of these other kinds of things. So bamboo needles is where they started, and that is what I wanted to test drive. So I got myself a set here. They're called the Spin Bamboo Circulars. And you can see already from the packaging that they have that same fabric as my other set. So this is my stainless steel set. This is the bamboo set. They look pretty much the same, except for this one's red and this one's green. And let's take a look inside. So you can see here are the cables that go with it. So there's a small set and a large set, because they have different ends. They have different thicknesses for the ends of the needle. So you can see some of the needle tips. So these are like really, really chunky needles. This is what you would use for making like chunky sweater, chunky hat, or whatever. And so these tips where they screw in is a little bit thicker. So those have to go with the large size cables. And then the other size here, like say 2.75 millimeters, those go with the small cables, like so. So these needles go all the way from 2.75 millimeters all the way to 10 millimeters. Let me see here. So yeah, they are basically exactly the same in terms of sizing. They go from US 2, they're the same. So this one is the stainless steel and this one is the bamboo. They both go from US 2 or 2.75 millimeters all the way up to US 15 or 10 millimeter needles. They're both quite lightweight. The bamboo is definitely lighter than the metal needles for sure. These feel almost hollow, but I don't think they are. They feel solid and they're very nice. They're really nicely finished and they don't seem like they're slick or anything. So this is one of the reasons why I thought it would be good to have sort of a collection of two different textures. One of the things that we talked about in Tabitha's recent Become a Lace Knitter class for the School of Sweet Georgia is that the material that your knitting needle is made of makes a big difference in terms of gauge sometimes, but in terms of the ability for you to knit certain kinds of textures. So specifically for lace, a lot of the times we're knitting with yarn that's like this one here. Like this is a sea silk lace. It's very slippery, it's very slick, it's very shiny. So if you combine something like this very, very slick, slippery yarn with something like metal needles, which are also designed to be very slick and very slippery, what you'll find is that sometimes it's really hard to get a hold of your knitting and it's like falling apart. It feels like it's like running away from you and you feel like you have to chase it. Maybe it makes your hands more cramped, more tense, more, oh, gee, you just don't want to lose all your stitches or have them fall apart, fall away from you. And so that's part of the reason why working with something like bamboo needles can really help, because they don't have that same slickness. They have a tiny bit more grip. Not so much grip that you can't slide the needle or slide the stitches along, but just enough grip so that way it just feels a little bit easier to knit things that are like slippery yarns, lace stitches, those kinds of things. So included with the set of all the needle tips, you'll find that there's the two sets of cables, the small set and the large set. And in each one of these packages is 3 different lengths. So it comes in a 14-inch, 22-inch, and 30-inch for the small and the same for the large. So theoretically, you could have 6 projects going on at the same time. Now, these aren't the short cables, so it would be a little bit tricky to knit something like sleeves or a hat unless you were using like a magic loop technique with them. So that's maybe where there's just, well, I don't know, maybe they have these shorties for bamboo too. But in any case, this would be great for knitting lace shawls, would be a really good contender for something like this set. So that is Very, very exciting. So yeah, Chiaogoo started 15 years ago. It's a family-owned business. It originally started with 4 brothers, and they were manufacturing knitting needles out of China, out of Hangzhou. And it is, they originally started with sort of single-pointed and double-pointed bamboo needles. So the bamboo is what they absolutely excel at. So if I'm super excited and happy about my stainless steel set, then I can imagine that the bamboo set will be awesome as well. So I'm gonna have to put this to the test by actually starting a project with this, and I'll do some knitting with this and see how that all goes. But in the meantime, if any one of you guys is possibly interested in trying out this set, I have a second set here that I can absolutely give away to you guys. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a little giveaway, and the winner of the giveaway will get this lovely set of bamboo interchangeable needles from Chiaogoo. So all the instructions for joining the giveaway will be down in the description link below. There'll be a link in the description box below, and you can join the giveaway there, and we'll leave the giveaway open for maybe about a couple of weeks. I'll post the deadline for that, and then we'll pick a winner, and then we'll send this out to you guys. We'll send that out to the winner, and then you can test these needles and see what you think about these as well. I swear this channel is absolutely more than unboxing videos, but these are the things that came in the mail very recently, and I'm very, very excited to share about these. Okay, so it's been a couple of days since I unboxed the Chiaogoo interchangeable needles. These are the bamboo set. It's got the green label on it. These are all the bamboo needles. And so I unboxed it, I showed it to you, but I wanted a chance to actually put it through its paces and try it. And so what I did was, this is the project that I'm right now knitting for the SweetGeorgia Spring Make-Along, and it is the throwback cardigan. You guys probably know this one. This is the throwback cardigan. It's designed by Andrea Mowry, and it is quite squishy and lovely. I'm working with this yarn. It's the superwash worsted yarn. I've got 4 colors of it here. This one is the trinket colorway. This one is from fall. And then this one is an older colorway. This is called Watershed. This is a blue that we've had before. And then we also have this one is a new spring color called Seagrass. And this is also a new spring color called Afternoon Nap. And they think they work really, really nicely together. This is how they're all working up. Super fun. And I've just made it through the yoke section and everything like that. Now this is color work. And working with color work on slick needles with a superwash yarn, it's a little bit tricky. It feels a little bit slippery. It feels like it might run away from you a little bit. And so this is the perfect time to actually use some bamboo needles. So with the bamboo needles, the surface of the bamboo is still slippery. I mean, like, these still, you know, they still slide perfectly well, but they're just a little bit more grippy than a sort of a stainless steel or a nickel plated or a metal needle. So in this case, what I have done is I have switched over to these bamboo needles to work with right now. And yeah, it's actually working pretty well. Now, one thing you'll know, and this is something that Tabitha's going to talk about when we launch that gauge workshop next week on the School of Sweet Georgia, but whatever project you're working on, you want to stay with the same needle through the entire project. I think I switched needles somewhere in here, and hopefully that will all block out and it won't be really noticeable. But if you're working with like a long stockinette section and you switch needles halfway through, your tension, your gauge will change, and it might be slightly imperceptible, but then when you finally finish your project, you might notice that, you know, the section that you knit with one needle is going to be a little bit different from a section that you knit with a different needle. So now I'm about to go into the entire stockinette section of this sweater, and I'm going to stick with these bamboo needles and just work with them for the entire project the rest of the way. Now, I have shown you guys before my collection of bamboo hat needles. I have had lots and lots of bamboo needles in my whole life, and we used to have our studio 2 blocks away from this place that used to wholesale knitting needles, and they're called N. Jefferson. They've since moved, but but we used to be 2 blocks away from them many years ago. And so on my lunch breaks, I would walk out to them and I'd buy like a pair of needles and then buy another pair of needles. And so they're just like, I was buying them at wholesale price. I acquired many small bamboo hat-sized needles. So these bamboo needles that I've had from Takumi, from Clover, they've always been a little bit more on the blunt side. So I've always had the impression that bamboo needles were going to be blunt, but when I switched to using Chiaogoo needles, like the metal needles, they're nice and sharp. They're very easy to work with. They're just nice and sharp. And so I was wondering if, when I started working with the Chiaogoo bamboo needles, if I would still have that situation with them being a little bit blunt. But I have found that these are actually very sharp still. Like the tips of these bamboo needles are still very sharp, and they have been working really quite beautifully. They're so sharp to the point where, you know, it will sometimes split my yarn if I'm not really paying attention. So, and you know, like pushing the needle tip from one side to the other, it is, I can tell you, it's quite sharp. So that's all been working really well. Switching to the bamboo needles has been keeping my keeping my stitches from all sliding off. So that's also been really good. So far, everything's been great. I was a little bit concerned about the cord. I did like, you know, Chiaogoo's red cord because it seems to like hold up really well. It's not flimsy. It won't bend and stay in a bent. It doesn't kink and get into those crinkly positions. And so I wasn't sure if these cords were also going to do the same thing, because these cords are clear. They're not that reinforced metal. In fact, they're just clear plastic. But for whatever reason, they don't seem to cause those kinks. They're staying pretty well and open. And so far, it's working really well. So that's so far been my experience with this set of Chiaogoo bamboo interchangeable needles, and we are going to be doing a giveaway for these, so you guys can stay tuned for all the details. I'll put them below and you guys can sign up for that giveaway if you'd like to receive one of these sets as well. So one last thing is that for this year, for their 15-year anniversary, Chiaogoo is doing a very good thing by they're going to be donating $500 to a nonprofit organization every single month this year for 2020. So that's very kind and very exciting for them to do. If you're interested in following Chiaogoo, you can find them on Instagram at @officialchiaogoo, and of course you can find their website, find their Facebook, all of that kind of stuff. If you guys are interested in what we are doing at SweetGeorgia, you can find us on Instagram also at SweetGeorgia, and you can find our website at SweetGeorgiaYarns.com. Thank you so much for watching this video about knitting needles. If you like this episode, please do hit like, and if you'd like to see more content like this, please do hit subscribe, and you'll get notified every week when we release new videos. Thank you so much for watching. Join the giveaway if you would like, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye for now.